there are lots of questions surrounding it. But then I thought, let's do it this way. And this is an optimal time for Salem and the Black Cat to cross our paths. I just love it. As he's just standing.
Seriously, dude.
I honestly think he should just leave that in, because it's just, I can't even think of another way to put
I can join in.
What cats do to us, during our recordings. All I see is his little eyes just.
It's literally all you can ever see. It's true.
To do the dishes, I would stand in a flamingo stance when I did the dishes. It was a running commentary in the family. So when we're doing the podcast, you see me move, I cannot sit still.
I have to see this flamingo stance from you sometime.
Okay. I'll just show you.
He's going to show us real quick, everybody. If you're watching on the video version, if you don't know about it, it's on YouTube. You can check out the video version of each podcast, and you can watch us. So in this show, you would have seen my cat messing around and causing problems.
So I have to pretend like I'm at a counter or something, so I can stand right. So I would stand like this, and then just wash dishes.
Man, that balance! Look at that.
Yeah. So my left leg is my balance leg, and that one does pretty good. When I have to balance on my right leg, it's not as graceful. But yeah, and I just did that in jeans that are not the most.
Yeah, not the most
stretched jeans.
Flex.
Okay, here's our last couple DMs. I added you on Snapchat. I asked you if you had Snapchat or something, and you said, I have everything. Little did I know. And that was on November 20th of 2017.
Oh, 2017. Wow, that's old.
And then and that was at 11:23 a.m. At 11:24 a.m. my time, you said, done, as in he added him. December 24th, 2019, I texted him a picture of Luna sleeping between us, looking pissed that I took a picture. The next one, it was January 1st, 2021, my time at 1:43 a.m., which would be just before midnight on Cody's time. I don't know what the fleet was, but I said, sit on my face.
It was clearly a New Year's Eve photo of sorts.
It was definitely, and I might not have been sober, or actually I probably was, because I.
Yeah, you would have been probably.
The best part, I think, when I see my text messages, because I think in general I text the way I talk, which means I tend to say do not instead of don't, or I don't just say sit on my face. It's like sit on my face. It's got a little proper. It's got a proper ring to it. So sometimes I see the things I say and I'm like, I'm sorry everyone for how I exist.
Hey, everybody, and welcome. It is Sunday, May 30th. We thank you for joining us. Matt.
And I have to get my charger for my laptop.
Okay, we'll let you go get your charger.
Oh, wait. No, I have it.
Do you
Oh my
have it?
gosh. My desk, you might notice a slightly different view in my office now. I moved my office around and forgot to grab chargers. You know, when you kind of reshift everything, I had to take some stuff out of the room to rearrange it and put stuff back in the room. Yay, I still had it.
Yay. So welcome, everybody, if you're watching the replay, to our super late night show at a not super late night time today. We're doing it a little early. We're testing it out, see how it goes. Matt also needs to get some sleep because coming up soon, he'll be going to nursing school, not actually nursing. But so again, thank you if you're watching this replay. And if you're here now, thank you. As always, you can comment. We have nothing planned. We just chat. So if you have questions, you want us to talk about something, put it there in the chats, of course. But yay, Matt, you're plugged in.
I am.
You're not going to die during the show.
I literally walked out to get 6 different things, and I got pretty much everything because apparently I already have my charger on my desk. But
well, and I do feel like I distracted you during the countdown.
I got really interested in the countdown and was watching it because you changed it, and this was a surprise to me. So if you weren't watching the countdown, Cody put in clips of previous shows in it, clips of us talking, and I really liked it. Also, I really like this earlier time slot because I feel a lot more alive. Because I still have to go to the gym today. And I'm like, when I have to do it on late nights after, it's uncomfortable. And you might ask, why don't I just go earlier during the day? And I will say, mind your business. No, I usually don't because it's still super busy.
Yeah.
During the day. And I'm okay with being in some crowds, but there's no point if I can't get to any of the things I need. If it's just like cardio day, I'll just go walk on a treadmill or a Stairmaster. But tonight is a longer night. This will be like, weight, stretching, some hopefully stomach work, and then finish off with the Stairmaster, assuming I can walk by the end of it.
I feel like you'll be able to. You may be hobbling, but I feel like you'll be able to make it.
The last time, I was like, all right, 20 floors on the Stairmaster, and that's going to be it. However long it takes me, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes. So I did shave like 10 minutes off my time. I could hardly lift my legs. Like, it was very uncomfortable.
That's not good.
No, it was not. It was not good at all. And also, it's very warm in here, and I don't think I can turn a fan on because I think the noise will overwhelm everything. I might actually have to go open my door because it is boiling in here.
It is nice here. I've been like actually a little bit cool outside. The weather's been nice. It's been I think the high yesterday was 66. Today it's been like 70 something. The next few days are going to be 70, low 70s. I'm enjoying them because I know soon.
You know what's coming.
Soon it's going to get warm. And again, if you've listened to any of our episodes at any point in time, you probably heard me talk about we don't have an air conditioner. And so it can get really, really hot in the summer. And so I'm not looking forward to those warmer temperatures. I do love them to go to the beach, but that's the only reason I love them. I could totally stand living in like these like low or upper 60s, low 70s. That would be my greatest want. But it's not going to last. So I'm enjoying these nice temperatures just to relax in.
I know that when we go back to school in August, when I lived in Florida and living here, end of July and parts of August are just the harshest parts of the year. It's super hot, and so I'm not really looking forward to starting school like just feeling disgusting because that part of the year, even walking from your car to a store, you can literally feel your skin burning. And I don't know I don't really know how everybody else tolerates that, but like I will burn so fast, and I know that must be a huge shock just looking at
like this, what
sun-kissed complexion. But yeah,
Matt, I didn't know that Casper could actually burn though.
Yeah, it's kind of like a, like kind of burns me opaque, instead of translucent. Um, but I will haunt this damn house.
I
So
well, I remember
my
living in
12
Texas.
steps.
I remember living in Texas, and I'd be like coming out of the TV station, and so at the TV station they kept it super super cold. It was always cold. In the winter it was cold, in the summer it was cold, and a lot of that has to do with just there's like a lot of equipment and like a lot of broadcast equipment, and so it's like all these computers and fans and everything heating rooms up, and so you got to keep it cool, and so the air conditioners stay on a lot. And I remember you go from that, you'd open the door in the summer, and it just seemed like someone turned the heater on outside because a lot of times the wind will be blowing a little bit, and so just like a furnace, just heat hits you when you walk out the door. I hated it.
Something super exciting just happened to me on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
I don't follow very many like celebrities or verified accounts or anything. It's not really my thing. But I commented on Danelle Leva. He's a former American gymnast, and he had said his tweet was, "I love Tom Holland, and I think he's an incredible actor, but I don't know why it's a little hard for me ever actually see him being angry. Is it just me? Don't get me wrong, he is fucking amazing, but I don't know. He doesn't look like an angry person, And I said, it probably means he is terrifying when he's mad, like one of those real sweet people who becomes angry and like levels a city. And he liked my tweet. So I'm like,
Oh, Matt, when's the wedding?
right.
Well, that's so fun, Matt.
Right.
Are you going to even be able to go on now?
I am. There's lots of things. I just have all these feelings, But no, that just happened. I monitor when we do Sunday nights and lives. I tend to watch my phone because sometimes people ask me questions during the live, and I was curious to see how tonight would go because it's the first night we're switching over. So anybody that's listening, we appreciate it. Feel free to say hi. Like we said before, we cannot see who's here unless you say hi. We can see how many people are here. I can see 2 people right now actively watching, but I don't know who you are. So if you're lurking, that's totally fine. But if you feel like it, say hi. I feel like once we get everyone used to this moving back, it'll be okay. Kind of like before, it'll be better. But I think we'll get more used to going back to an earlier time slot for stuff like this because people are going to bed earlier. Again, they're getting up on Mondays, but tomorrow is Memorial Day. And I will say I'm super glad my birthday did not fall on Memorial Day this year. It's very uncomfortable when it does because I've stupidly been like, yay, I'm happy today, and I get like I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's my birthday. Like, I'm not being a dick. Like, super awkward. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like you would be one of the very few people who actually would even think that way because most people probably are like, yeah, it's a holiday to celebrate. It's summer.
Yeah.
Let's hamburgers and hot dogs.
Yeah. So military family.
Well, even military family. Your favorite girl from The View, Miss Megan McCain, posted something recently. She talked about enjoying the holiday and remembrance and everything like that. I'll have to pull it up probably and see if I can get it exactly right. But the gist was the holiday. But then she posted a photo with her husband at a casino saying something like, "Oh my God, we're having so much fun." And someone was like, from a military family. And then someone posted that, John McCain used to be a gambler and was kind of like, he had maybe a problem with gambling. And so they were like, it's just a tribute. Yeah, it obviously is a holiday to. That's what it's called, Memorial Day. But yeah, I think it's just kind of gotten hijacked as the beginning of summer. Most people are out of school.
I think
Summer
it kind of
season's
always has
begun.
been. That's not a dig at the military or anything, but like that's sort of how holidays work. The idea is like to me the whole idea is like you have that day, yeah, so some people are going to spend it doing some things, but having that extra day with your family. I mean, that to me seems very like the whole idea is remembering people that sacrificed so that other people didn't. It would seem a great way to honor if you're not spending the time, mourning a loved one, for example, is to spend it with your family, because that's like the whole gift. I tend not to discuss that very much because I am a former USAA employee, and it's just like,
yeah, I actually think it might the holiday itself might get more attention if you didn't actually get off that day, because I think you get off that day and it makes a long weekend, and then people celebrate not the actual holiday.
Adam says Memorial Day is kind of just, I feel like the general public just doesn't care about the meaning. I think a lot of people also don't understand, like, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are, they're two separate things. They're not.
Yeah,
No.
totally different thing. Oh, and then people also confuse Memorial and Labor Day because
right.
the beginning and end basically of summer, and so people get those confused.
And especially when, like, growing up in, like, say, the public school system, there are marks in your mind of when finals week and when the first day of school is. And hi, Salem. I just saw a tail just.
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, so that, Adam, I would totally agree with you there. Also, he texted me pictures of sushi the other day, and they looked absolutely delicious. And I did not have sushi on my birthday for the first time in years. I just weirdly wasn't in the mood for it. They're separate. One is for the living and one is for the dead. It's true, though. Like, one is specifically for one and one is specifically for the other. And, I think sometimes you have to almost put things in slightly, I don't want to say harsh terms, but like, really, like, to make people, like, divided in their mind that it's not the same.
I mean, I think ultimately people don't care, and I think, again, if it wasn't a day you got off, people might be more aware of the situation. But because they get off, it just goes into a long weekend or a time off to go hang with friends and family, which is understandable. To make a long weekend to
It's kind of what happens, I mean, you can't. We're a really huge country, and it's I think we're accustomed to it because it's our normal. I think it's super easy to forget because literally how many hundreds of millions of people live here and how many different sets of values all coexist in the same country, and how many people are affected by certain things and not others. So, yeah, yeah, so it's super easy for people to, I think, like, oh, how could you possibly not remember this? And for other people, it's like, why would I? Like, some people are super removed from things. Is it bad I just don't care about the holiday? I'm ethnic and gay, and they weren't fighting for my rights. See, Adam, we're on, like, our faces are right here, so yeah.
Salem, you can't do that, honey.
Basically, yeah. I know he's talking to the cat, but pretty much. I'll be honest, like, when our holidays come up, like, it's kind of like the whole thing about Thanksgiving. Like, when you really think about it, if you really break it down. And then, okay, if you want to take the more modern view, like, oh, we should be thankful for our families, while simultaneously celebrating Black Friday, where we mow each other down for a sale. I served crystal meth before I served this country.
Get down. You have to get down.
I feel like, I don't know, are we, what kind of brand are we doing? Is it one of those, everyone raise your hand if you'd rather serve crystal meth, yeah, so when I was in high school, I actually considered a military career, and my grandparents railroaded me on it. Like, it was the one time I ever actually listened to my family. And this is from my grandfather, both of his brothers, and most of my family, actually from my family records, all my family on almost every side, step and biological, have served, except for some of my generation and the prior generation. And so, of course, when I considered it towards the end of college, at the end of my freshman year of college, I did consider it again, but I was like, well, I realized I'm gay, and this was 2005. So I was like, yeah, I know some guys could like rock the masculine thing and kind of sail right through it with don't ask, don't tell. No, I couldn't. I knew I couldn't, and I wasn't going to try because I wasn't going to risk myself with it, you know. But everybody has their feelings and opinions on, you know, what they think is best to do. I personally disagree, not with necessarily our individual military members, but like what administrations use our military branches for, not like the actual people choosing to serve, because I think countries having a military is a fairly normal thing. We're a massive, massive country. Even having a robust military to me is like wouldn't be surprising. It's just our massive, massive, like it's like our massive military police budgets, but yet we can't have healthcare. What the fuck? You know, like that's kind of my thing on it. I think it's like massively swung too far. And I'm like, oh no, it's a little authoritarian. Oh, you know.
Yeah, a little bit large is obviously anytime you can look at this,
right,
you can
and
say
like,
this, you know, this war was warranted, this one wasn't. We should be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that. I do have a thought of the military, it being an important part of individual countries and needing it for their protection ultimately. But there's ways that you can do it right. And as far as America's concerned, I think, you know, if we look at our budget for the military, and what we actually have, the infrastructure as far as the military, it is way larger than like if you combine most of all the other countries in the world, except for like China and Russia.
And all that
so it's unnecessary, really.
For when they get back, that's what blows my mind from this massive budget. Like, why aren't they being cared for when they get back? You know, we get our veterans back with PTSD and all sorts of issues, and they have to struggle and battle to, like, after they get home to receive benefits and care that they should be. And I'm like, why? Why is it a question? Because no matter what they chose to, and I get it, like someone chose to do a job and they went and did it. Okay, it happened. But if something horrific happened to them while they were serving, why isn't it being cared for now? Like, why do so many hoops have to be jumped through in order to receive that care? But also mental health benefits in our country, military or not, military or civilian, I mean, we're not really, don't really fund them too well.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. I mean, and you could just scroll through Twitter even, and how many people work in that field and go, yep, no budget for that. Yep, don't get paid shit for that. And what are people supposed to do? You know, we're at the mercy of bigger people making the budgets for all of it to go towards like weaponry and yeah. Well, we should probably the subject, Cody.
Bottom line, not only on this topic, but pretty much any topic that you can think about, it all goes back to rich getting richer, and it's really the bottom line of many topics.
You're totally right. No, he's totally right. If another country had troops in in territory, we call them radical and invading. Yeah, it's really weird to me that growing up and learning about that, I'm like, so we do that, and it's a big deal. But it's not a big deal, but when other countries do it, it's like, oh, look at this threat they're posing, and it's like, well, this is a phone, and this is a phone. Are they the same? Well, like, yeah. But America, fuck yeah. I saw that movie in high school, and wait, is high school? It was either high school or early college, and hi Salem, and I remember thinking it was a parody. I know it was a parody, but at the same time, it was just like, this is too real. This is too fucking real. But anyway, well, I didn't have a lot going on. I made, on my list of tweaks I had to make for my book, I made the last one yesterday. Keith is actually reading. If Keith joins us sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know if he's here or not, but he is reading my book. I think this week or next week. He told me he was getting ready to start it at some point soon. So I need to send him the updated copy because I was like, I had to change one thing. I had changed the lore that goes with the book, and I had changed everything in it to like all I had to do was change words and tenses to make it make sense. And I changed it months and months ago, and I forgot to change one thing until my last read through. I went, oh. That's what I'm afraid of, like sending it to publishing. I'm gonna self-publish it and then publish some glaring ass error in my book. I priced out an editing service. It was like one of them was like $700. I'm like, can someone do it for $3? Like this is like an editing service. All they do is just proofread it. I'm like, mother. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem paying for a service, but this is not complex material. I mean, this is like extended young adult, like at best. Like, I intentionally did not try to make this I do not harbor delusions about my ability or non-ability to write. I think I'm a competent person with pen and paper, but writing an opinion piece or writing an academic paper is not the same as telling a story that you made up in your head, creating a world and trying to make people enjoy it. And right, $700 to edit a book. Right. So I put in the word count and everything, and they estimated it to be about 241 pages. And I was like, really? Oh, so I was kind of proud of myself. But yeah, it was like $700. And then
honestly, for me, Matt, I think that's a deal. The only reason I say that is like any of my video work or like editing, like a 30-second to a minute thing could be like $8,000 to $1,000 that I would charge. So like I can see where things can be very not shocking to me,
business.
I guess.
I'm over here like, I'm gonna be a nurse and help people. I can just fucking make money like you and donate it. Shit. Oh, great.
It can,
no, so but all it is literally proofreading. They're not putting it together, they're not building the story for me, literally just reading. Now, like, I can read a book like mine, I can read it in probably 2 hours, maybe 3 at most. I am an incredibly fast reader. I don't know where. I don't know if it was from like having to learn my ABC so young and being forced to talk, so it made me super cognizant of things. So I read it and I absorb it. So that's my forte. I'm like heavily balanced to reading, or heavily weighted in reading, and then like super lightweight in some other subjects. So I am not super well rounded. I'm functional in some subjects, but it's unfortunate. 800 to 1,000. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but most editing services are not that much. This was simply like a separate, almost a la carte service.
Mm-hmm.
So, but some self-publishing companies, I've spent like the last week or two just sitting and reading, plus the advice that was sent to me, reading through the recommendations, different types of self-publishers, which I didn't even know was a thing. All these different things, and then I'm pretty sure, because I'm a first-time author, almost all of them recommended as a first-time author, just put it on Amazon through Kindle. So when you do that, the first 90 days, you can only get it on Amazon. That's the only part of the contract, is that for 90 days, it's only on Amazon. And then after that, I can spread out and put it in other places. There's other places, services, I can pay like $1,000 and they'll help me organize it, get it some cover art, and get it shifted around a little bit the way I want, and they'll distribute it to everywhere. So it's like, do I invest in myself up front and then just put it, because I have to promote it myself. Yeah. And I'm nervous because I don't want to be that guy who, when you DM me or talk to me, I'm instantly going to be like, oh my God, you guys, come read my book. Because there are some people, I try really hard to support every person doing their thing on Twitter, but sometimes You literally cannot talk to them. Or if you hit follow back, you get an automated message that's like, "Hey, you seem interesting. You try reading my book?" And I'm like, Jesus. Like, can you at least like a few of my dick pics? Damn.
Speaking of that, the costs and stuff, Matt, one thing that since you do write and you've written this book,
That
on
was a nice way
average,
to put it. Well, since you do write,
well,
I
I was
refuse to
going to
call
say,
myself an author because I
you're,
feel weird about it.
we're going to have to put that in something. I'm going to start
Oh God,
introducing
please
you as an
don't.
author. No, but if you're for promotion marketing stuff, like you can charge the average would be like $300 for an article that you would write for somebody. So that could be something you can make a little extra money on the side, because one article written you could get $300. the
That's a
world uh the world of PR, things cost a lot.
right, and I know like once I kind of break myself into it, I have a pretty good chance of like making at least, doing okay financially. I mean, that would be nice. I did not intentionally do it for the money, but my intent with even being an RN is I don't really want to work the full 3 or 4 days a week. I prefer to just do it part time and per diem as I want to, because I don't want to burn out. I'm definitely going into this older with the potential that I could burn myself out because my body sucks. So I want to be more part time per diem so that I can work the weeks I'm feeling great.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I can work a lot because I'll feel good. So when I need to like step it back, I can that week and I think I'll have a much more fulfilling and longer career. And I also want the extra time so I can write and do this because I enjoy this. Like I want to do things I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
And that was why I quit my corporate job with its great benefit package. I miss my insurance.
You took the leap of faith, Matt, to become
I sure
an
did.
author. Author
There
Matt
was some
in the
passive
house.
aggression there, babe. You're like, congratulations.
I did tell Matt to quit.
He did. When I came to him and said, Cody, I think I'm gonna quit my job, and you're like, you didn't even ask me what I was gonna do. You're like, you should quit your job. I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I have this idea for a podcast. You're like, great, okay, yeah. I checked with Justin, and you know what? We both think there's a market for that. We could probably make this work. I'm like, well, I also want to be a nurse. You're like, oh, cool. You want to do that too? Yeah, and I have this book idea. You're like, oh, I don't read.
Read
But
what?
good luck with that.
It's true. I do not read. Not at all.
Katie.
Gabe is always trying to get me to read a book. I still have the book that he gave me at the beginning of quarantine.
I feel
It's
like
still
when you make
sitting on the
so
nightstand.
after I publish this damn book, you're gonna like change my font. So Cody does all the intro work. He sets this all up, and he does not charge me $800 to $1,000. Hi, Keith. So he doesn't charge me for that, but I feel like you're gonna put my name in Matt Martin, author, but it's gonna be like in the SpongeBob meme lettering, like he's an author, guys. Like kind of teasing me about it. I'm telling you, we need to do like a spoof newscast thing where it's like author, nurse, like holding up my stethoscope by the wrong end, like
Keith. Keith thought we were on at 10. We were, I believe, going to be on at 10, but Matt asked if I was available to move it up an hour.
Yes, I
was. I said
well,
yes.
We do tend to go over anyway, and I wanted to have that room. And so I appreciate everybody joining us. And also, by all means, if you're just lurking around, feel free to say hi. Cody and I don't have an agenda on nights like this. And if you joined us before, I do have a different view because I move my office around. And I'm not very good at this setup, and I only have one ring light. So please ignore my shiny face and know that
Matt,
I care.
One day we're going to get you some lights when we have the budget.
Speaking of budget, we did turn on listener support. So if there's anybody aka any sugar daddies around there that want to support two aging twinks that are trying to do good in the world, we do actually have listener support turned on. But yeah, so yay, which will eventually come with exclusive content and other things that we can do once we actually have a budget. Right now the budget is us, and I don't have a job, so my gym is hiring, and I actually considered talking to them. They're like, it literally has a sign off front. It's like, we're hiring, come inquire inside. I'm like, because I can't work a regular career job while I'm going to nursing school. It's just I've seen some of what my schedule will look like, and it's going to change each semester. No normal job is functional to that. That's going to pay anything, but I'm like, well.
I just put in the link into the chat. It's available there on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Twitter. You can see the link that is to the support page. Now, this is where you basically, as Matt said, if you enjoy what we've been doing, you can always just give a little change here and there if you have that, and so that's set up. But like Matt said, coming soon, hopefully later this summer, we'll be doing subscription kind of things on Apple Podcasts, and that basically is going to be, you're still going to get the podcast, but the subscription part of it is you might get extra things, you might get exclusive like shows that we do specifically for Apple Podcasts. But that's coming this summer. We'll be doing some extra things here and there.
Yeah, if you go that route, you absolutely don't have to, but through Apple, obviously, if that's how you get your podcast, especially for people who, subscribe and, that's like their thing. If you go the Apple podcast route, obviously Cody and I we do enjoy doing this. It's just, we can't just do everything because we have no budget. So we kind of have to plan like, oh, we're doing that. Okay, here we go. But it's been really fun. We are really about the year and a half. Well, actually starting next week, we'll be at the 1.5 year mark that we've been officially doing this. And it's been really fun. I think I've had fun from the beginning, even with the dark subject matter, because we did record stuff that wasn't depressing sometimes. And even the hard days, I think we're still putting out things. We're teaching people things that they didn't know. We're learning things we never knew, like the Tulsa Massacre. My neighbor across the street is a Black woman. She's a retired school teacher, and her mom, who unfortunately recently passed away, was an LPN who trained at the same school I'm going to for nursing. And she didn't know about it. And she is native to the South.
That's
she
crazy.
grew up here. Her mom is from here. And she's like, I had no idea. They would have absolutely lived through this time in a very immediate period after it. And they had no idea. And my neighbors do not know that we do the podcast because it feels really weird to just say that. I mean, when she was telling me about it, I knew about it only because somebody on Twitter had posted about it. And then Cody and I did an episode on it and learned about it. But I did not tell my neighbor, oh yeah, I learned about that because I did a podcast on it. That just seems, I don't know. It just seemed kind of not the right. It did not seem, do y'all agree? It did not feel like the right thing to say. There was no way I think I could have said it without sounding like a dick. And I'm really good at sounding like a dick sometimes. Sorry. It's true.
That was
a question that I didn't ask. I'll tell you about it.
I mean, it's crazy that she didn't know about it.
Right, but that's not uncommon either. There's lots of things that have happened to the Black community, for example, that, they were just literally, it was done and covered up and wiped from the history books or sanitized, and was it. Kind of like the bullshit pride discourse, which we are not going into because, oh God, I'm tired of reading about it.
If you have not listened to the podcast about the Tulsa Massacre, it is in the comments, so you can check that out. Yeah, my only comment on the pride thing would be essentially people are getting into this interaction essentially with trolls. It was started by trolls and then to create infighting. So My thought on that is never just get involved in that, because it was designed for exactly what has happened, for not a necessary positive outcome in the situation. So,
yeah, this was intentional to create issues with all of us.
I mean, that is essentially what any kind of interaction on social media is, and you see it on TV when people are talking heads and they say certain things or they interact in certain ways. It's tempting to then talk about that issue or talk about that person, but that's what they want, because it brings publicity towards them by you disagreeing with them. And it's exactly what is wanted. So in my thought in those cases always just to completely ignore it, because it isn't necessarily bringing anything positive to the thing. Now, if you want to bring something positive towards that and not anything negative, I think that's always helpful. But again, I started seeing that, and it was essentially it also it happens every year at the same time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's not organic
This isn't
actual
new.
discussion of the thing. It is to
And you can
create.
always tell who's got something to say, who's never really interacted with the community before. You know, it's like a really good way of saying, say you haven't, talked to somebody over the age of 45 without saying you haven't talked about, it's very easy to tell. And also, I mean, if you've ever seen or been to the actual Pride events, they're like 99% family friendly. I mean,
I was gonna say,
like, I've never seen. I mean, there are public officials at these events. People are not fucking in the streets. I have never seen that.
Okay,
I've
that's
never
the
even seen
thing.
video of it. Now,
It-
people
it-
party after and before, and they might meet somebody and go hook up with them down a dark alley, but
Yeah.
they're not marching through Pride.
Yeah,
with
I mean, ultimately
big
that is the thing. If you actually look at what is alleged, it does not happen. It does
Right.
not happen.
They're posting
It does
pictures of
not
like
happen.
Folsom and
Yeah, which are totally two
Exhibition, where
different things, different time periods, different months of the year, different places.
different events that are specifically not family friendly, and they're marketing. They're saying that that's Pride. I'm like, that's not the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
and then
absolutely not.
to get into those events, you physically know you're going into a different space. It is not like you're going to stumble upon it in those particular instances. So yeah, the whole thing is, in my opinion, is ridiculous, because what they're alleging does actually not happen. I think if you did want to have issues with Pride, is one, people were bringing up that's not the point of Pride, et cetera, et cetera. I would argue with that the people making this argument aren't doing Pride for that reason either, though. They're doing Pride to party, so and get drunk. So you could look at
Call
that
it
there
what it
is,
is.
that
The
there
fact that
could
we can
be.
even do this is, that we can sit on this podcast as openly gay, have people join us. Y'all can use your real names or not, and we are not being hunted here. I mean, the point is that we can do this, and we show that we can do this to show, and it's for all our other LGBTQ members in other countries who cannot, to show them that it can be done. And that's the whole, that's something that gets seen. And it's kind of like how it was a few years ago, like the Women's March, where a bunch of women were like, well, they don't, this group of women, they picked out one group of women wearing a certain thing that said, those women don't represent me. I'm like, but what about the other 100,000? And they're like, well, what about the women that can't march around the world? I'm like, that's like the whole point.
Yeah,
it was
I am
frustrating. But when you're going to pick something apart, they pick a hill to die on, and they pick the most inflammatory thing and say, oh, wow, showing off and kink in front of kids is a weird hill to die on. Bitch, that is not what's happening, and you fucking know it. Don't be dishonest.
Here's the thing. Ultimately,
but there are trolls, though. They're not real. It's
it's not real.
Pride is still going to happen. And no, we don't want police in their uniforms marching, because why did Pride start? Why? Oh, a response to police violence.
I mean, is essentially Pride is in many places. I don't want to say most. In many places, it is a parade, and then people go drink at bars. And I say the parade is many times just a commercial now. I
Yeah,
do
it's all
have
corporate
issues with
sponsors.
pride in general in some respects because I understand money needs to be made for things to happen, but I know in a lot of places you have to pay to get in to do things. The parade is free, and there might be like a flag raising, and that's free. But if you want to get in or do a concert or anything like that, you have to pay money, and some people don't have money. A lot of people, young gay people, don't have money to participate in this, and they are
Right.
completely left out of these issues. I know, like I think in LA, San Diego, like there's events and booths set up, but you have to pay to get in there. So, if anybody has issues with pride, I would say that's an issue because it's not accessible to a lot of people, in that you have to pay to play essentially. Um, and again, to getting drunk, okay, like
Right.
I feel there is a meaning behind things, but if you just go to like hang out with friends and get drunk, which you do every single day, you're not doing anything, I guess, to memorialize what the day or the significance of what and why it came about.
Right. And a lot of people are suddenly become experts on history where even doing this, I learn absolutely new things every day. It was kind of like we did the upstairs arson, the upstairs lounge fire. That was a long forgotten history point in a city that is pretty gay friendly, and it was ignored by every official. Not one person spoke up, no one said anything. People still aren't identified.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I mean,
So let's keep in mind that, one, as Cody pointed out, it's fake discourse. It was started intentionally to rile everyone up, and everybody took the bait. I mean, we're sitting here talking about it after one
yeah.
not
I,
wanting to talk about it. But
I do think the discussion that is being had on Twitter, again, it started because of just someone wanting to purposely start that. The conversation about between gay people actually talking about, some saying that shouldn't be, no kink should be in pride, and this and that back and forth. That is actually not new to the whole LGBT movement. Going back into the 50s and 60s, there was the same particular issues, that there was a group of people and this group of people within the gay community. And some people thought, hey, we have to dress up in suits and ties and assimilate, et cetera, et cetera. And then as a new generation comes or new people to the movement, they push the movement to a different level. And so the discussions that's being had on Twitter is actually not new, and that people fighting between two sides within the same community, same group of thing, because it happened in the 50s, 60s, even before Stonewall. It is it's interesting to look at the history of that, and I think that's important. And what we do with the podcast is bring about these stories that people might not know about, and different things like that. Again, that you have the discourse within the community itself that has changed over time, and at the same time hasn't changed at the same
yeah,
time.
see, we don't really change in a lot of ways. It's kind of like how people in prior pandemics, like, we talk about the Spanish flu. There was, of course, a whole group of people then who didn't wear masks, and it was more severe then. People died, like millions died, and they there were still people who didn't want to wear a mask. Like, I was reading today, a lady going, "My kid, I see how much my kids struggle with a mask." I'm like, really? But you think maybe they don't want to see Nana on a ventilator? Oh,
Yeah.
Nana went to heaven. No, dumbass, you sent Nana to heaven. You sent her to the gates of the unknown because you couldn't be bothered to, read a book. And then the whole thing's like, well, they're not really that effective. Let's check our flu deaths for last year. Oh, oh,
Right.
interesting. Oh, wait, so what you're saying is people wore masks, socially distanced, washed their hands more, and more people got the flu vaccine too. So, and even with that, hundreds of thousands of people, more people than usual, died last year from COVID. But there's a running death toll in the country. About how many people die per year, and it was higher last year by a few hundred thousand. And but people are dumb. They think,
Well, I mean,
oh, 1% isn't a big deal. If 1% of the population drops dead in a 3-month period, that would freaking wreck us more, like so much more. But it's really
yeah.
hard to get people to understand because we have to use words like think,
Well,
emotion,
it's
care.
many of them are the ones that are like, oh, measles and polio, et cetera, doesn't exist, so we don't need to get our kids vaccinated. It was like, well, it doesn't exist in widespread, or pretty much in America. In other countries, many of these diseases continue to a low level. Yeah, in
The
America,
vaccine
it
passport
doesn't
thing,
because,
because
well,
like
I mean, that's
it's
not new.
no, it's not. Do you know how I know it's not too? This is 25. I counted. This is 25 pages that I'm submitting in order for me to walk into nursing school. Now, on this is a negative TB test, my chain of custody form, and some forms I have to sign. The rest of it is my records for 3 Hep B shots, 2 Hep A shots, my varicella, or aka chickenpox, Tdap, which is tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis, etc., aka whooping cough, and the flu. And I had my old flu shot, which expired during the application period, so I got an updated one solely to walk into clinicals. Why? Because I'm going to be interacting with people from all around the country, all walks of life, who could possibly have something, who could make me sick, or make me sick and me carry it to somebody else. There's still that
Yeah,
risk. And the
I mean,
Georgia governor just signed a mandate saying that schools cannot mandate masks, and they're like, well, if adults that matter are all vaccinated, then why should they have to wear a mask? And it's like, because the kids can still carry it to people who aren't vaccinated.
well,
And
and many of the new variants actually are affecting kids
right,
in
which
pretty
was
bad
found
ways.
um
Um,
and someone's like, well, I saw the dumbest thing I've seen this week, and let me tell you, I've seen a lot of dumb things this week. Memorial Day week, along coupled with my birthday, between my family and like the news, there's usually some winners. The winner this week is somebody going, my aunt or somebody posted about this cleaner that was going to help, but it also protects against corona. So maybe she knew what was coming. This was planned. And I'm like, do you, uh, are you kidding me?
um,
Like, this is not the only coronavirus to ever exist.
yeah,
It's just used. It's
I mean, I think ultimately the bottom line
read a
is
fucking book.
people are not
Please.
were not upset with the a so-called vaccine passport essentially ever in large numbers, because you had to have a certain vaccine number, or you have to have
Right.
vaccines to go to school. There were those, I feel like, a small minority who would not do it for whatever reasons, especially when you had the anti-vax movement come in a little bit, then you had a little bit more. But in general, no one had issues and has not had issues with it.
Right.
I think in the case of this,
It just
people
became an
having
issue.
issues with mask or the vaccines, it essentially became a political issue. It became a political issue because politicians in power made it an issue. And not even necessarily them. I would say your organizations like Fox News and Newsmax and those kind of things made it a point because they wanted money. And by doing it, it created outrage, which then created more people watching their network, which made them more money and people richer. And again, like we talked about at the beginning, rich people getting richer. It's the only reason any of this happened. And of course, then politicians latch on to what they hear on TV.
Right.
So
Like the people
I'm
in
going to
the
blame it
insider
all on
trading of the
TV.
PPE.
I'm
Like,
going to blame it
really.
all on TV.
Uh,
It all happened because they wanted to make money, and then
when my
everything followed suit.
stepdad said about not getting the vaccine, he's like, well, the TV said, he's like, all these people are dying. And I'm like, who? Show me, please. Show me the fucking study. I just,
Well,
uh,
and so you had these organizations pick up on it, and it is a legitimate website on the CDC site where people can report interaction or reactions to vaccine, et cetera, deaths, et cetera. But it is not looked at. So anybody can put anything on there. So I could create, no, I don't want to say me, but someone could create something and say, they died from the vaccine, put it on this site, and it's public. And so if someone was to download this information, it would show a death. So no one is going
right.
through and checking that information. And that's what news organizations or Fox News, Newsmax picked up. They took that and said, oh, it came from the CDC website. Yes, but there's more to that story. Yeah, I felt like that was an unfortunate situation. But then again, then people believe it because they heard it on TV.
Yep.
So basically, Matt, I think we could say anything, and so probably people would believe us then.
I have a
Matt,
13-inch penis.
he does, and he's also an author. An author with a 13-inch Neapolitan.
The roast of the week went to my high school best friend Clint, who did the interview with us. I was like, well, time to go tell people to get off my lawn. He goes, you should change your handle to old as fuck. I'm like, oh my god. I want to point out that I'm only 9 months older than him. like he was barely born the year after I was. I was like, Jesus.
You're so old, Matt. So old.
Oh, that was funny.
Ooh.
It was really funny. He's like, you gotta change your handle to old AF. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's happened.
I'll put in the link into the pages for everybody. But if you want, you can click on that link, and that is the link with Matt and his friend Clint talking about the Ford Lightning.
Oh yeah, that. I thought you were. I was like, oh God, now what? Yeah, we spent so he has a podcast on cars, because he's a major car enthusiast as well. Something we grew up bonding over, and with the release of the Ford Lightning, we sat and talked about it for 30-40 minutes. So and there is pictures and stats and everything. We talked about it. So I think
that's so exciting.
An episode with him this coming week, next week, or the week after.
Man, Matt is so busy.
Yeah, volunteering in my life and everybody else's. I'm so productive.
I mean, maybe you should just be a volunteer at a hospital. Like, why even go the nurse's route? I mean, if you're volunteering in everything, I mean,
why
right?
get paid when you can get shit on for free? Literally. No, that's
Matt,
okay. I just get shit on for free. I'd hang out with my
Matt,
family.
but I think you're old enough. You could just sit at the front of the hospital. You know, when people are asking for like, where's the room number?
Directs people.
Yeah. I see. I have it all worked out. I mean, I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm sitting there. He's an author. He's writing his books while he's volunteering, and it's like a fucking coloring book. It's a kitty, you know.
Okay, so I need people's help. Who's here? So let's see. Today is on Friday I watched
oh God, that's really funny.
Second Act with Jennifer Lopez. I love that movie. Last night I watched an old movie called Clue. Really, really funny. But I need a movie tonight. Movie? Yes.
Oh my God. Have you watched Beetlejuice yet?
I can't watch it yet. I haven't watched it, but I can't watch it yet.
And you had never seen Clue before?
Okay, I hadn't. So I knew about it and I had seen it, but then it would go off Netflix and then would end up over here. And then I just never watched it. I had been wanting to watch it with Justin and Gabe, but then just never happened. We always had something else to watch. But I need something to watch tonight. I need someone to help me come up with something I should watch tonight. What is a movie that y'all love that I should check out? Well, I do love that. I've seen that one. Okay, I mean, I could watch it again, but yeah, I've seen that one.
That's one of my favorite go-to movies. That and The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Those are kind of some of my go-tos.
Yeah, those are all good ones. I have seen those.
I also enjoy watching Constantine.
I have not seen
Rachel
that.
Weisz. Rachel Weisz is in it. Keanu Reeves. Great cast. I mean, the story's kind of not quite the Constantine that everybody talks about, but it's a fun movie. It's a fun ride. If you just sit down and enjoy the damn ride. Let's see. What are some other movies? I really like watching Shrek every now and then.
Oh my goodness. I don't like Shrek. I love Shrek the musical, but I do not like the actual movie. I don't.
The Mummy had a really hot cast, like unfairly hot. Like if there was any bisexuality to me, it was totally for Patricia Velasquez and Rachel Weisz. Like right there. like, and young Brendan Fraser, like action hero Brendan Fraser, like he
I
was
like how
kind of
you
like he's
differentiated
cute,
that.
huh?
I like how you differentiated the young or the
I don't
action
know what he
Brendan
looks like
Fraser.
now.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
I,
Exactly. I don't know exactly what he looks like right at this moment, but I didn't say I didn't know what he looked like years ago.
I,
So
I'm sure he's happy. He's rich. He has money. He's fine. Um, uh, yes,
bless him.
bless him.
Yeah, and he was kind of an it star, like from
He
mid
was.
'90s, from like Encino Man all the way to through the Mummy and some. I think he did like Bedazzled. I think that had was it Carmen Electra? No, Elizabeth Hurley,
Yeah.
and he had a really hard time. He's a precious cinnamon roll. I just adore you. Adam is really a funny guy. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should. He's really funny. He's really funny. He makes me laugh, and I hope I make him. I hope I make Adam laugh as much as he makes me laugh. Then, oh well, you can always watch that. Okay, so I've always wondered why he got blackballed. I did not know about that. Adam, I need you to text me, or you need to post the story here because I didn't know about that. I knew there was a story, but I didn't know what it was. I knew it had to be something fucking evil. Because nothing ever terrible came out about him, but then he just sort of disappeared from movies, and it was like, but we still have to have Tom Cruise trying to pretend to be 23. I saw
do
the
love
new
Tom
Mummy,
Cruise.
and I literally didn't like it because Tom Cruise is the character they made him play was somebody who is clearly far too young for for him. Like he's playing this inexperienced hotshot, and it's like, dude, you're like 58. Like, like.
Mm-hmm. Rocky Horror Picture Show. Keith said, "I do love that.
Oh,
I do love Rocky Horror. I always watch that each Halloween. I go see a live show if it's possible. I do love that. I do love that one.
here is. So
Yeah.
hold on, I can't get the.
The whole Brandon Fraser thing has ties to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which is, if anybody's paid attention to Hollywood in the last few months, there's been issues with the Hollywood Foreign Press. There always has been, but it's really come to light. And with the Hollywood Foreign Press is the one who puts on the Golden Globes. And as we've seen, NBC has decided not to air the Hollywood or the Golden Globes. You had, I believe, Tom Cruise gave back. I think it was Tom Cruise. Someone gave back their Golden Globes, and others vowed that they wouldn't participate until the Hollywood Foreign Press dealt with some of their issues and diversity issues. So it's been a flawed organization for some time. And a lot of it stems maybe around that particular issue involving someone from the Hollywood Foreign Press. Hi, baby. You want to say hi to everybody?
I'm reading the story. Oh, let me come back and see Salem.
Oh my God, he's going to buy everything. You're on camera. Smile.
Smile. He's about to freaking eat you. Adam, that led to depression, weight gain, not being desirable. Yes. Yeah, that unfortunately is not terribly surprising. I knew something terrible had to have happened because he just disappeared. And usually when somebody disappears like that, historically what's come out is that something happened to them. It wasn't something they necessarily did, unless they chose to, just drop away. I'm looking at it now, but it does look like he's having become more come out with it. It does seem that he's definitely returning back to the screen and his job and working. I hope he's happy because I just adore him, and I just think he's like what he brings to characters and stuff. I've always just thought was great. So I hope that. And of course, the person saying it's total fabrication. Well,
it is interesting in talking about being blackballed or not being cast in certain things. If you think of that period of time in Hollywood, I mean, not that just that time, it goes back, but thinking of the Harvey Weinsteins and so on during this period, and they were blackballing a lot of women actors as well for them coming
yes.
out or speaking out. So it's something that not even just in Hollywood, but we notice it in Hollywood where you have an actor speak out on allegations like this. And many times, especially in that period of time, then other people don't want to hire you because they don't want what they would probably say is drama coming into their camp. And so it just kind of snowballs from there. And then no one in Hollywood wants to hire you because
even on small scales, like nobody wants that. You notice whenever someone speaks up in the family, I think anybody, if you're on here, like speaking up to my family doesn't want to deal with it. My aunt told me the other night on the phone that my other relatives kind of don't know what to do with me because they're like, well, you champion for everybody. And my other gay cousin is just like, stop short of offending people. So they're kind of like, I'm like, so you allow the wrong things to happen and just ignore me? Cool. But Key Bryan Singer. Right, exactly, Adam. Exactly. And Joss Whedon. But
or as I always end up saying, Josh.
I'm like, some poor guy named Josh Whedon is going to just get abused soundly on Twitter one day because of Cody. There's an official
I'm glad that we brought up Joss, not to talk about Joss, but the Snyderverse might continue. I just want to say it might continue now. There was word when it was released, it did big things for HBO Max, which was great. And people were calling for the actual Snyderverse so we could get more movies made. We kind of had a preview of what would happen at the end of the Justice League. And there's been back and forth. Snyder said he doesn't really see going forward. A lot of people, executives in charge, they want to do their own thing. They don't really want to go back into this whole Snyderverse. But the latest thing is that the company is merging Warner with Discovery, and that merging will create a new person in charge, and that new person may be more sympathetic to allowing the Snyderverse to continue on. So we'll see what happens. But we thought we were positive that it could maybe happen. Then the executives started speaking out, and then it kind of went, not going to happen. But now with the latest in the merging of those two divisions companies, it might happen again. So we'll see. But I hope it does, because I think I loved his version of Justice League. Again, I'll say it was a long movie, but it didn't seem long at all. I thought it was great. And I think it would be interesting to see what he does with some of these other characters going forward, because nothing can harm the DC at this point, because some of the movies, again, great popcorn movies, but they're kind of all over the place. I'm excited to see what this latest Robert Pattinson as Batman is going to be like. And then, of course, we're having the original Batman from those first Tim Burton movies come back. So I can't wait to see that. So that's going to be exciting.
Adam's having connection problems. He just texted me and he said it's his connection with Twitter. So he's saying goodnight. So I told him, thank you for joining us. I hope it continues. Speaking of people who have like unfortunate Twitter handles, there is a guy, he's an official account too, and his name is Matt Gertz. That poor guy. Like, even in his bio, he's like, I am not Matt Gates. Poor bastard. And but this has been a wild 6 months so far into 2021. And the lives and all these things we do now. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to see if we get to become a part of Apple and people do subscriptions. I'm curious to see what people might want, like to see if, because I actually have a fun idea for an additional, like, kind of a it's kind of like an How Do I series, but for gays, Cody was like, damn it.
Set a time. I got plenty of time right now. Let's do it. Let's record.
Well, so tomorrow is our recording day. Monday is our big recording day. Except for last week, everything was going wrong for Cody. Everything literally went wrong for Cody last week. And then the week before, everything really went wrong for me.
Well,
But
I was
it worked out
actually
because I had to collect like 50 pages of paper. So
last week I actually had time off basically because I wasn't on camera, so I just had to record Matt. So I was pretty good.
right, but with
Not on the live on Sunday, but
everybody had vacations and trips and work stuff planned, and you were having to work around it. So yeah, you didn't have to be on camera because it was Crime Week, so Crime Week we do a little different. So Cody got to sit there and just soundly abuse me from behind the scenes. Excuse me. And
yeah,
boy, did he!
if you haven't
it, just
listened,
went wrong.
if you haven't listened to those episodes, of course you can do that. They are up for you to listen to. They were pretty interesting episodes. We had talked about Matthew Mickens Murray, and then Tyler Mack and Alexis Woodland, and those three were interesting cases. Of course, they're spread over the 2 episodes,
Right.
so you can check those out. They're pretty short episodes, so you don't need much time to check them out, and you can get information and insight.
Information we have, and I do not like to speculate very much. I don't think that's really appropriate, especially these are much more recent cases, and this is not a situation where it's been 50, 60 years and there's nobody around anymore. Like, there are still families actively looking and grieving. So the one episode of Tylia Mack and Alexius Woodland, both of them are one episode, and Matthew Mickens Murray was a separate episode as well. So they were shorter, but we wanted to focus on just them. So not to make it like diminished, but just so that the attention was solely focused on them and people could just hear what they had. And it lets us do a little more with them. So if more information becomes available, we could just add to it rather than putting a whole episode without it, because anything we put in front of it, I personally feel would generally will end up overshadowing by accident whoever we're talking about, because a 30-minute normal conversation is going to overshadow the 10 minutes of information that the police have made available, unfortunately. So we more so want to focus on what's been made available to us.
Yes.
But here we are. So yeah, Cody, I mentioned a few weeks ago I had that idea of kind of a How Do I series, because Cody tries really hard to keep us structured and organized and completing similar material. And I'm forever like, no, I don't think we should do that. And he's like, oh, fucking damn it, Matthew. And if you've ever been my friend, damn it, Matthew is probably part of your lexicon, and it is probably part of Cody's too. He never says it to me, but I can read body language. And that sign doesn't stop me because I can't read, Poor Cody.
Give Matt many outlets to...
Right. As my aunt said, you just have a lot to say. Yeah, I know.
The floor is yours then, Matt. The floor is yours.
Well, it wasn't for a long time, so we built a new fucking floor. It's the way to do. It came out because everybody was saying there's no platform, there's no this, there's no that. I'm like, well, nobody's going to give you. Most of us are not going to happen to a multi-million-dollar business deal or inheritance and have suddenly become a big name, than to be able to promote your beliefs, whatever they might be. So obviously Cody and I are not in that position. I mean, I regularly tell Cody that it's his fault he wasn't born a Rockefeller, and I haven't figured out why I wasn't born like some movie mogul's like grandchild. truly a failing on our family's behalf. To be honest, I'm not judging. I'm just saying they're jerks for this. But I was like, well, let's do it ourselves. And then our tiny little platform, we can give the microphone to whoever wants to speak. But a surprising amount of people don't want to talk. And I can understand that. There's no pressure to, but we kind of had the mentality that if you have something you want to talk about, tell us. We'll set it up and just make you part. I mean, it's really easy to do. We can make you part of the episode and feature you and let you talk about what you want to talk about. We'll let you direct the episode. Just tell us how you want to do it, and we can do it. Not a lot of people have a lot to say when the microphone gets handed to them because nobody wants to speak on behalf of everybody. I'm certainly not trying to. I'm simply saying these people were murdered and nobody talked about it. So let's talk about it some more. You know, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of any community, not even my own. I'm just a voice within the community saying, well, I'm gay and these are my people and this was wrong and they were not given any attention. We can't undo the crime, but we can try to highlight it and say, hey, why did this happen? Why did this happen? No, not every crime happens because it's a hate crime. Sometimes, you know, we've had several of them. They were, you know, kind of wrong place, wrong time, like attempted robberies, things like that. Things that were just could have happened to anybody. They weren't necessarily, as far as we know, targeted solely because they were part of the LGBTQ community. But we don't know. And the floor that's responsible for putting those issues out does not talk about our community. We get treated more like an accessory, like, ooh, exciting, a homosexual. They're going to tell us how to decorate our house. It's hideous. And also, our people are being murdered. Look into it. No, let's talk about this fake pride discourse. Okay, so this is the stuff that Cody has to hear about, like, when we talk, is like me saying, I want to make sure we're covering these issues, that we're still talking about it, that yeah, everybody knows this is what we want to talk about, but that we're actually doing it. And here we are. And poor Cody is just like, every day is suffering.
Not every day. Just some days.
I understand.
Speaking of design shows, maybe Matt, you could do a design show because everyone could have their own jungle room.
I swear, also, background for kids.
He teaches everybody. He teaches everybody.
It's for teaching.
Clarify. It's not for kids. It's to teach kids.
Yeah, it's because when you teach kids, they want your background to be set up like a first grade classroom. That is why that is there.
What is hanging? What is hanging on your right side by the door?
Oh, all my headphones and cords. They have to stay off the ground because, you know, kitty cats.
Your kitties like to eat them.
Well, no. So now they've moved past that. When they want to wake me up, they will go to my side table and pull my headphones or my phone off my desk or side table and try to run with it to wake me up. Not to chew on it, just to because they know it'll annoy me. 1 to 2 hours before their feeding time.
That's
and on principle, we do not feed them until the exact same time. We feed them at the same times every day. They get fed at 12, 6, and midnight.
My cats are fed at all different times. The morning they're fed pretty reasonable because Justin wakes up and feeds them both pretty much at the same time. And then at night though, it could be 1 a.m, it could be 10 at night, it could be 2 a.m. So they're like, Ella always begs me. At a certain point, she like wakes up and she's ready to eat, and she will come sit by me on the couch and she'll just do her little paws like this. Salem, I'll start hearing him cry. But yeah, they have learned there's not a regular time for them to eat dinner. They must be always thinking, is it going to be early tonight? We're going to have a late dinner tonight. I mean, I feel like Salem is like, got things to do. Got to sleep, but I need to eat.
Yeah. It's ours. That's pretty much ours. They have an agenda that they have to get to. Ooh. I woke up this morning. I know David woke up and fed them because I woke up and they were both sleeping on me, and I'm like, It's oddly quiet in here. But Luna stopped sleeping with us when we adopted Ava. And then within 3 days, when we started letting Ava wander the house, at night she would come sleep with me. So every night she crawls up and sleeps against my side or my stomach. And then Luna's only recently in the last few weeks started sleeping on the bed again. But sometimes she'll still crawl into bed with us, and she likes to sleep under the blankets. Ava doesn't. But she'll wake one of us up in the morning and want to crawl under the blankets and sleep. She likes to sleep between our thighs or our knees. If I sleep on my side, she likes to sleep behind my legs, like in between my calves and my thighs, like in that kind of triangle space. She'll curl herself up in there and sleep for hours, which is really adorable, except you usually have to pee like 5 minutes later, and you're like, but everybody's so quiet. Oh, seems like are you having a wrestling match with Salem? Cody, you're on. Cody, can you hear me? Interesting. I was like,
I don't know what's going on.
I was like, Cody, you're on, and we've changed places.
Oh.
Which is all in Cody's control. I cannot do any of that.
Well, everybody.
Well, oh my gosh, it's 10:30.
I can't hear Matt, so.
Can anybody else hear me?
Well, I don't know what button Salem pushed, but I guess with that, we may have to say goodbye. Matt's going to log out and see if something happens. I can see that we are both on camera and then y'all can see each other, but my screen is completely black except for my face. Yeah, I have a stream up and I can see that, but I'll just send a picture to Matt because it is, I can't see. I'm going to actually see if I can log in somewhere else. One moment, please. I'm going to disappear.
My screen looks totally normal. I mean, I can see the terrible lighting. I can see the uneven skin tones. I don't have contacts in, so, but I can see like all of this, and I need Cody to come back so it kind of moves my screen back because I don't want to see all of this up close. But here we are. It's weird because when you do this, sometimes you feel like you're talking to the void, but even though I can see that 4 people are here, I have no idea who's here. So you kind of just are kind of doing your thing and you forget that people are there, which is like, oops. I mean, luckily we've never done anything or said anything like crazy, and that's not really my style to have said something like, oh no, I did a racism, I can't believe that happened. But well, I don't know where Cody went. I think he's trying to log into it from another device to see if it was his that was not working. But Salem appears to have pressed another button. If you're new to us, sometimes this happens. Salem likes to hang out with Cody while he does this, and he's unplugged stuff before. He has totally derailed a few of the lives, and sometimes that's our clue to time to go and feed our cats and do our things for the night. Hi, Cody.
Oh, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know. Yeah, I can see you. I don't know what happened. He clicked something on the keyboard, some combination of something, and it totally made everything disappear because I was like, I couldn't hear anything. I only saw myself. I didn't see you at all. And then I have the stream up on my iPad. So I knew that you could see everything and it was fine. It's just that I could then not hear you. So we could have continued on, but I just could not hear you at all. But thankfully, I restarted the browser and it works again. But whatever he did, totally. I don't know what it is. So he has free reign. Normally, he's locked in the office with me when we do lives, but he has free reign right now of the house, and he's just choosing to come in here. I think he's just like lonely. He gets very, very needy sometimes, and he just wants to be around people. So it works perfect with me.
Well, I'm glad I didn't log out at the same time, because that would have been awkward.
Yeah. But we've been on for about an hour and a half now.
Yes, we started a little late, so we wanted to make sure we had extra time. But we really appreciate everybody joining us for this new time. I think if Cody can do it, I'd like to keep going at this time. So I think more people can join us. I know it's a little early for Cody, but most of us are on Central and Eastern time.
It's like way too early. No,
Cody's like, this is so early. This isn't late night at all. And I'm like, yes, it is.
I was like, it's like so early. No, like, I know a lot of people.
But it's 3 hours later on Eastern time. And
West Coast is the best coast.
I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to leave that shit at the door. How long have you been waiting to crack that gem out, Cody?
I don't know. It just came to mind. No, yeah, we are glad that everybody joined us today. We'll be doing this again next week, early, so everyone can get to bed. Oh my God, are you back in here again? Let me turn the keyboard off. Yeah, we'll be doing this again next week early, so you'll be able to join us. I think now we also have Twitter Spaces, so we may have to try out that.
We should try that. Do you want to try it during the week? We should try that during the week, not like on a weekend. We should just do that midday, because then maybe people can listen in at work a little easier. And if they don't want to participate, they don't have to, but they can kind of let them lurk around without us having. Are we on camera for that, or is that just
no? It's just audio.
Oh, thank God. Not that I don't enjoy getting all dolled up for y'all. Oh, we should do one where we're like, I think it'd be really funny if we did one like the American Gothic style with a farmer and the farmer's daughter kind of thing. Which one is going to be the farmer's daughter?
You are.
Me? Okay. You think I'd look good with like a gray bun with a middle part? I mean,
oh, totally.
We're supposed to have a side part.
Mm-hmm.
Never side part, ripped jeans, hang out with our doggos and watch Harry Potter.
Salem, you are a handful today.
Well, anyway, yes, thank you everybody for joining us and listening at this early time. Sorry for the slight confusion on that. Still kind of working it out. But next week we'll be on at oh my God, 9 o'clock Central. My goal is ultimately 9 o'clock Eastern, but that would be 6 o'clock Cody's time, which is a challenge, but like it is early. That's most of our people are in Central and East. So
Matt, I'm gonna build up our West Coast contingent. West Coast, where are you at?
If I could pay to never hear you say that phrase like that.
Which one? West Coast is the best coast, or build up my West Coast contingent?
The second one. I'll live with the best West Coast is best coast as a dad joke, but the second one, just no. I'm gonna no.
Okay.
No, excuse me. I'm gonna go put on some cargo shorts and go work out.
We thank all of you for joining us. Salem also apparently thanks everybody because he is being a handful. Like, are you gonna actually not bite?
He looks like almost not real. He looks like literally Salem from Sabrina because he's moving like. Look at those eyes. You're in danger.
But anyway, we do thank all of you for joining us.
Cody's trying not to scream in pain.
No, be sure to join us for live episodes, not live episodes. Be sure and join us for new podcast episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Video versions available on YouTube, and then we'll see you on Friday at 5:00 Pacific for our live show. And again, as Matt said, be back here again on Sunday at what time, Matt?
9:00 Central.
Ooh, 7:00 Pacific. That's the important one there.
And 10 p.m. Eastern.
But we'll see you then. Be sure and check again Tuesday, Thursday, new episodes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.